Welcome to Confessions of a Window-Licker. I use that as a term of endearment, and it is not about making fun at any particular group of people. However, as a family, definitely for me and my brother, we most certainly would say that we come from a family of Window-Lickers. We're a bit off the wall. We laugh at inappropriate things. And ultimately, him as the chief Window-Licker was the one that I was having a conversation with the other day, and he was asking me why he believes that me sharing my experiences, which many of which have been rather painful, and the things that I've learned and where I've got to now, would actually help other people, that they might resonate with something I've gone through, and that it might actually help them to get out of maybe a dark place that they're in and actually start living how they want to live. So I blame the chief Window-Licker, and he would have you believe that it's me. And I will let you guys that are watching this video be the judge of who exactly is the chief. But I will say this. My brother has a tattoo on his hand and it says WLC. WLC stands for Window-Licker Club. And he and I are members of it. And we also have other friends that we have also brought into the fold of being in the Window-Licker Club. So my intention is to share my stories, and I hope that they may shed some light and maybe shed that there is another way of dealing with the challenges that life gives us. I, for one, can now stand here and actually say that I am grateful for the many things that I've been through, despite how painful they were, because they've shaped me to be the person I am today, and the person that's standing here in front of you, and that is willing to share some painful things as a way of helping you. So I'm going to actually start, before I even get to that, with a study that was done on monkeys that I heard. And this had a profound effect on realizing why I'd been doing what I'd been doing my whole life, which was basically being stuck in a way of seeing things and a way of doing things. So within this study, there was 5 monkeys that were placed in a controlled environment of a cage. And within this cage, there was a mezzanine floor. And at the top of the mezzanine floor was all the foods that the monkeys love to eat, be they fruit, nuts, and they were all up there. And I'm sure that you can appreciate that as animals, they've got a far more sensitive smell than we have, so they could smell this food that was up there. However, what the scientists did do was put a pole that they had to climb up. And if they even touched this pole, it then triggered this cold, freezing cold water to be squirted over every single one of them, over all 5 of the monkeys. No matter who touched the pole, this water was sprayed over all of them. So needless to say, over time, if any one of those 5 monkeys went near that pole, the others jumped on them and they screamed, kicked and bit them and just, clawed them and did whatever they could to get them to release themselves from the pole. Over time, the scientists took out one of the original 5 monkeys and put a new one. This new one didn't know anything about the pole, didn't know nothing about the water. So needless to say, attempted to go to the pole and to go to the goodies that it could smell. And as soon as it touched the pole, the other 4 pounced they pounced on it, they bit it, they scratched it. So needless to say, again, what happened is that new monkey learned how to behave the same as the other 4. And at this point, there is no cold water, there is no being squirted. But however, the original 4 have now been conditioned. Anyone touches the pole, beat them, stop them, whatever it is we have to do, let's stop them from doing that. And over the course of time, they replaced all of the original 5 with 5 new monkeys. And every single time that they touched the pole, if the new one touched the pole, the same thing happened. To eventually, now no one touches the pole. And even little baby monkeys, no matter who goes in there, nobody touches the pole. Isn't that true of humans? We've all been conditioned to behave a certain way, to think a certain way, conditioned by our parents, and it's not their fault. I was definitely conditioned by my parents. I know that my parents both loved me unconditionally. I know that they wanted the best for me. But however, they were just passing on what they had been taught. This is how you have to behave. When you think about the monkeys and the food and the fruit, isn't that a bit like us going for our desires, but then stopping ourselves because that's just not what we do. But that's just not what we do around here. So I give you that very first thing because that was most certainly me. I was one of those monkeys that was afraid to touch the pole, that just stuck with the limited way of thinking and doing things that I had always known, that I'd always done. So what was it that changed it? What changed it for me? I take you back to the 5th of November 2022. It was a normal Friday night. I'm out with my friends at my regular pub. We're having a drink, we're laughing, we're joking, just having fun. The smell of fireworks is in the air. It's cold, it's dark. And whilst standing there at the bar, one of the other regular guys comes up to me that I've known for many years, that was good friends with my dad. And he says, "Can I talk to you outside for a minute?" So I follow him outside with a bit of trepidation. What is it? Why does he want me to come outside? I don't know how to tell you this, but Matthew Brown died this morning. What do you mean? I don't understand. How? I only saw him on Monday. How? That moment had a massive impact on my life. I'd known Matthew since I was about 14. Secretly, I think I'd actually always had a crush on him, and we'd had a fling a couple of times. However, he always blew me out eventually. And I had only seen him on Monday, and he was larger than life and yet full of hugs and smiles and laughing. So how the heck has this happened? Over the course of days and weeks, I keep going over it in my head, trying to make sense of it. And then I finally come to the realization that, you know what, life is too short. My life had not always, exaggeration, not always, for the most part, not necessarily been unhappy the whole time, but I'd had many things that had happened, really, if I say really big traumatic things. What is trauma? Trauma ultimately is an event that leads us to, or at least this is my belief, that leads us to real emotional pain. It's not so much about whether there's physical pain. Physical pain's done and dusted once it's happened, but it's the emotional feeling that we get left with. And I had lost my mum at a young age. I'd lost my sister in 2016. I lost my dad in 2018. But however, it was Matthew that had the effect that made me realise that life is too short. It's too short to be unhappy. And I remember standing in this very spot and thinking, no more, no more. I'm going to get busy living. I've had many years where I wished that I was dying, but I'm now going to get busy living. I'm going to be happy. Whatever it takes, I'm going to be happy. And I owe it to these 4 people that haven't even got that, opportunity. They're not here to live the life that they wanted, because it was taken, because it's gone. Making that decision was definitely one of the best decisions I ever made. I had no idea where that decision was going to take me. I had no idea how I was going to do it. But however, I did make that decision. And here's the thing, definitely what I've learned is I have made decisions, big decisions like that, a few times in my life, but they were always caused by being, in my son's words, uncomfortably uncomfortable. You know, that point that you get, it's like, I'm not tolerating this any bloody more. I'm not. And that was most certainly how I felt at that time. And I have since learned that that is a choice. We think about free will, but it's like the free will to do whatever you want. Well, I most certainly now believe that free will isn't just about doing something, actually physically doing something. It is also a choice about how we want to think and how we want to feel. And that is one of the biggest things that I want to share with anyone that is watching this, is you have a choice. If you are unhappy at the moment, you have a choice. You can choose, I'm not doing this to myself anymore. So what did I do? What did I do with that choice? From that moment on, I started to choose to look at all the things that I actually had in my life that I could be grateful for. I had a roof over my head. It was only a few months before that I was living with someone and deeply unhappy, but staying in it because I didn't think that I could actually afford to live in where I was living all on my own. And now I'd made a choice. I'd made a choice to live on my own, and I was so much happier for it. So what is it that you are choosing? Because most certainly there is another way. I realise that I don't have to follow the monkeys. I don't have to follow the path that has been laid down before me. I didn't choose that path. I was taught that path. And that is not in any way thinking that my parents were wrong. That the majority of people in the world are wrong. It's just that they don't realise that there is a different path. They can choose to do it a different way. They don't have to be like the monkeys and doing what everyone has always done and not even know, why do I do that? I just do it because I always have. Because I always have, I'll always continue. Well, here's the thing. And I most certainly completely believe this. And I've learned it for myself, that it was this shift in mindset that then has changed the trajectory, I can't say the word right, of my life. And I would never have been able to change it without changing the mindset that I was in. Because you cannot solve a problem with the same mindset that created it. So I hope that that has been insightful. If there is something in there that has actually resonated, then do please drop me a comment, because I most certainly would appreciate all the feedback that I can get, because life is all about learning, and therefore any feedback that I can get that may actually tell me, yeah, do you know what, carry on doing that, or that didn't really work, would be really, really useful. So I look forward to seeing you for the next exciting installment of Confessions of a Windalicker. And I hope that you start on your journey just like I did, of saying no more, there is another way, and I choose happiness and I choose life.